The kind of response I got on the Legion 5 review, it was overwhelming to say the least. And now it's time for another one. This time around, I have the Acer Nitro 5 with me. This is the 2021 model. I have used it for a couple of weeks and I actually have a lot to say about it. So without further ado, let's just dive deep into it. We are gonna start with the design and the build quality first. The physical dimensions are similar to what we get in other gaming laptops in its competition. It's about an inch or 2.4 centimeter thick and weighs about 2.1 kilograms. Adding a hard drive is gonna add another 100 grams or so. Nitro is ever so slightly shifting away from the usual red and black gaming theme, but the back is still painted in red, and even though the keyboard is 4-zone RGB, it glows red every time you boot into the device. However, I'm glad the red ring around the touchpad is gone now, making for much more cleaner aesthetics. The design of the lid has also been changed a bit. There are lines on the sides and the Acer logo is centered. It's glossy and embedded into the lid. There's some Nitro branding on the back. There are battery and power indicators which are also visible from the inside, which is really admirable. So while it still looks a bit gaming centric, I think it's still a decent change as compared to last year, but I wish the bezels were trimmed a bit, at least the top and the bottom. Doesn't quite feel like a 2021 device to me. There are rubber pads on the bezels to protect the display from touching the body, and the whole keyboard area has also been a bit depressed for the same purpose. Nice. There are rubber pads on the bottom to avoid slippage. The materials, while not superb, are acceptable at best. It has a complete plastic build. There's some top lid flex and the keyboard has some flex too. Moreover, the body does sound a bit hollow and makes springy noises on tapping. I wouldn't really recommend it if you're going for higher end variants, as this year Acer has brought even RDX cards to the Nitro series. It's not that it's gonna fall apart on its own, but when you're willing to pay a premium, why not get something which feels some more well put together. One thing that is really well done on this device is the thermals. There are two fans on the bottom and there are holes open just above them, and there are some holes in the center too. There are vents for air outflow on the sides and on the back. Acer has put a lot of warnings to protect against heat, and the body does get too hot sometimes. I found it to be the hottest around this area, but ironically there are no warning stickers around here. The cooling system is very efficient, however. It is capable of maintaining good temperatures even under maximum load. There is manual speed control for the fans and they sound extremely loud at max. Here's a sample. Anyway, they kick in only after temperature starts to get real hot. I guess 80 degree is the number here. And there are two bottom firing speakers present on the sides and the quality is absolutely garbage. There's been many instances when I couldn't hear anything at all, even at maximum volume, while there's just a fan running in the background. Here's a quick sample. There's a basic 720p webcam which is present on most Windows laptops. The quality is not great by any means, but I found this camera has a lot better colors and dynamic range than the one on my Legion 5. By the way, a complete in-depth comparison between this and the Legion 5 is coming very soon on this channel, so make sure you subscribe. Coming back to the webcam, I believe it should be fine for video calls, but you might want to switch to an external webcam if you are planning to do any streaming, and same goes for the quality of the inbuilt microphone. One of the most important parts is the display. My unit has a 144Hz 15.6-inch Full HD IPS panel. It's a TFT LCD display with a 62% sRGB, so it's not the most color accurate, but it gets the job done. It should be fine for gaming, and the brightness is a bit on the lower side at 250 nits. This, I guess, is the worst part about it. I have also noticed it doesn't get very dim at the minimum level. That could prove to be a nuisance while using in the dark, and there's a very prominent yellow tint to the whole panel. Meanwhile, the viewing angles are very good and it has a good contrast ratio as well. Screen bleed was very minimal on my unit. A 3 millisecond response time has also been promised, and it certainly helps while playing esports titles such as Valorant. There's a decent amount of ports available with one USB output port too. What that means is that it's always active so you can charge your smartphone or other devices. The RJ45 LAN port has a mechanical cover. The power port is on the back. While I do think this is the best position for it, the cable itself is L-shaped and it runs parallel to the output vents and comes in contact with hot air directly. The power brick is 135 watt. Charging from 0 to 100 takes about 2.5 hours. There's no fast charging support, nor the Type-C port can be used for charging. The battery life is fairly average, outputting anywhere between 3 to 5 hours with regular usage. As for gaming and other power-hungry tasks, expect no more than an hour on battery. One thing first-time users are most probably gonna face is that the laptop is not charging, because you might mistake it for being connected while it's just halfway, because it looks like it. The connector requires so much force to be rightly plugged in, so make sure you hear this click sound. I wasted a couple of hours just to figure it out, and I even thought about visiting the service center after finding no solution in online forums and videos. This keyboard is almost exactly the same as last year. The keys are body colored with white borders on the sides, which I guess is for the backlighting, but it looks somewhat tacky while looking from a distance. The WASD and arrow keys are even more accentuated with white color. There are indicators for caps lock and mute function key, but none for the num lock. There is a dedicated button for the NitroSense application. The power button resides among the top row keys, so other buttons are shifted a bit from the usual positions. The function keys for brightness and volume control are combined with arrow keys instead of the function row, which makes it impossible to control these with a single hand. Not the greatest implementation really. By the way, this is still the only laptop to provide a 4-zone RGB keyboard in this price segment. The lighting can be customized in the NitroSense software. You can turn off individual zones too, but sometimes it just displays red color no matter which mode I've chosen. Then I have to open NitroSense and turn it back again. The touchpad is smooth and responsive. It's plastic of course, but there are no problems with Windows gestures. The buttons are underneath the lower half of the touchpad, and the size is decent, but it's shifted towards left a bit more than normal. Let's now address the most important part, the performance. The variant I have has an Intel Core i5-11300H CPU with the now aging GTX 1650 graphics card. The CPU has 4 cores and 8 threads with a base clock speed of 3.1 GHz and a boost clock up to 4.4 GHz. I'm not really impressed by this CPU's performance. I tried video editing and it was considerably slower than the AMD Ryzen 5, even though I compared it with the older generation. I will link a comparison video just about here. The GPU sometimes delivers worse results than it's expected of. Many times I observed it's being underutilized, even when the temperatures are under control and no matter what graphics settings are there. I will make some detailed gameplay videos to give you an idea of what I mean. It's now time to finally sum this all up. So while the Nitro delivers in many places where its competition lags, the performance isn't really one of them, especially speaking for the CPU. Combined with a very average build quality, this is a hard product to recommend. If you really are into RGB keyboard and stuff, I'd suggest you to go for the Ryzen variant at least. That one justifies its price a lot more than this in my opinion. And I almost forgot to mention that even though there are slots for memory and storage upgrades, Acer doesn't allow you to do that on your own. So you have to depend on Acer's service centers if you plan on upgrading within the warranty period. And Acer's prices are usually high as compared to regular market prices for the same amount of memory. I think this is pure nonsense. At least a RAM upgrade is required to unlock the hardware's full capabilities. This is the reason I couldn't test it with dual channel memory. I think that sums up the review nicely, and I hope I was able to provide you with all the information you needed to know. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section, and do consider leaving a thumbs up if you liked the video, and of course please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll meet you very soon with another video.